I wear 3 belts. Y'all sleep.
Did you already start?
Yeah.
Oh snap! I'm the editor, so I can edit it out later.
It's live. Yeah.
I can edit it out.
But it's watching, so re-upload.
Oh, I have no viewers.
I got
Just playing. No thumbs up.
I'll go view it.
Yeah, support.
Okay, so please make sure that you understand everything. Is there anything I need to go over for composite functions? No, you got this? Krishna, you got this? Check your answers.
Don't erase.
No, you
Don't
don't.
erase the banana.
Don't erase the answer.
That is not a banana. That is not a banana.
Miss Gia, what is that?
What's
What
that
do you think it is?
one?
No, shh, let him answer.
It's a lipid.
What?
It's a banana.
You said it's a lipid?
It is not a banana.
It's a banana.
No.
A la 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 lipid.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, good.
Okay.
What kind of trouble you got?
This is your fired.
You got fired?
You have 3 viewers and 1 like.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. It was all me. All right, get to work.
Okay, so inverse functions. So we're gonna find inverse functions. And what is the inverse function?
Isn't it like f of? No, it's like. Isn't it minus? Yeah, minus 1 or something like that.
Oh my God. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna talk about inverse functions.
I don't like those.
They don't like.
Oh, those are.
Okay, they have to.
Good with the word.
So we're gonna talk about inverse function, and inverse function is a.
Keep on teaching.
What's up, a star?
Is this normally a
It's a massive star.
All right. Anyway, so inverse functions.
Oh my god.
And a lot of teachers teach you inverse function, but I'm gonna reteach the inverse function because it's very, very crucial you understand every single detail about inverse function. There are things that
You look good. Continue.
okay, so there are things about inverse function you need to know because usually Algebra 1 teacher doesn't really teach you. They just teach you how to find inverse function, but they don't teach you there is conditions need to be inverse functions. So first of all, let's talk about how do I determine which one is a function? How do I determine if an equation is a function?
X and now biology.
What? Yeah, so how do I determine if this is a function? So let's say if f of x is equal to x squared minus 4. Is this a function?
No.
So let's talk about how do we determine if it's a function or not. So we're gonna determine if it's a function. So before we talk about inverse function, let's talk about if the following is a function. I might give you different things. So for example, y is equal to x squared minus 4. B, I will give you a graph like this. C, I'll give you x squared plus y squared is equal to 4. D, let's go with like this. This. Okay. Which one is function and which one is not a function?
C is not a
B is not a function.
B is not.
B is not a function. Why?
Doesn't pass the line test.
Because there is more than one y for the same x.
That's what I'm going to get to. There is more than what?
One y.
There's more than one y.
For the same x.
Same x. Or you can do the vertical line test. Somebody also mentioned that. It's a vertical line test. So here is gonna be fail, so this is not a function, so this is not a function, because what she said though, not a function. Because she says what? There is every x, there's more than one y value. So I can have this, I can like this, that's not a function still. Or suppose before, it's not a function, so because this is not a function because of vertical line test, but every x has two y values. So that's not a function. How about this one? Is this a function?
It's not because x squared means it's a parabola, and that would mean it has more y value.
But it is.
No. If it's a parabola, it's going this way, right?
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's a function.
It is a function.
It's
It's a function
It's
because
going up, okay.
it is a function because of vertical line test, and every x only one y value.
It's-
Okay, so this is a function or not?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, right, because the vertical line test tells me I only intersect one point at all times. So this, yes, it's a function. Okay, and C, is this a function or not?
Wait, you can just subtract by x squared, and then it would be y squared equals x squared plus 4, and then square root both sides, right? And that would be y equals x plus.
It's a function? Why?
It's a line.
It's definitely not a line.
It's a circle.
It's definitely a
It's a
problem.
circle.
It's a circle.
Oh, yeah.
It's a circle radius 2. We're gonna talk about that when we go to conics. So it'll be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's gonna be a circle with a radius 2. So therefore, there's two things here that there's intersect more than once. So at this case, it's not a function. No. Okay?
No.
Yes, it is a circle. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about circle, ellipse, parabola, and hyperbola. So we're gonna talk about all 4 different kinds.
Someone's commenting.
Toru
Basically-
Higishita.
I'm
monkey.
What?
I'm monkey.
I'm monkey.
Okay?
I thought they actually had a question.
Yeah.
One person's watching.
They smoking?
I don't know, but monkey, they didn't even spell monkey, right?
Yeah.
M-O-N-K-Y.
Okay,
Shaking my head.
In the cat.
anyway.
Are you monkey?
So inverse function. So why did I talk about if this following is a function? We're gonna talk about because of vertical line test, and so also talk about analysis. Every x has one y value, okay? But the inverse function, there's a condition. There are few conditions. One, a lot of times that you hear this term, but you don't understand what is that meant, okay?
Hi, monkey.
Same.
Same.
Whoa, can we bend him? Okay. So inverse functions. Now, what is the inverse function? The inverse function, it must have the following couple conditions, or it has to go through some vocab term. One is called one-to-one functions. What is one-to-one? One-to-one.
1 x for every y.
Huh?
1 x for every y.
1x for every y.
Or 1 y for every x.
Ooh.
I don't know. Okay, so we're gonna talk about that. One-to-one functions. What is a one-to-one function? Second thing is we're gonna talk about what is monotonic.
I mean one solution.
Monotonic. What does monotonic mean?
One solution.
Okay, so monotonic. What does monotonic means? Monotonic means they are either strictly increasing or strictly decreasing.
So like a straight line.
No, well, it can strictly increasing and strictly not, let's go strictly decreasing.
I'm selling the Simon.
It's okay, you're going good enough.
Mistakes are not for the Chinese.
That's correct.
Damn.
English is not the first.
Okay, so the function has to be strictly increasing and strictly decreasing. So that function cannot, either it's gonna go up completely or it's gonna go down completely, but it never goes up and down simultaneously. So this part, it will not have an inverse. It will not have an inverse. This one
Yes.
will not have an inverse.
No?
But it's
But
going
it's
on.
going up and down.
Is it supposed to be
Right,
a
but
straight
it has to be
up and-
either just go down or go up.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
Okay, so none of this can have inverse.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there must be a test. It turns out the test is something you're familiar, but it's the other directions. Okay, so monotonic. So how do I test if a function is strictly increasing and strictly decreasing? Is any other test?
the line test went like that.
Yes.
Really?
The
Yes,
horizontal line.
horizontal line test. Yes, it is horizontal line test. So they must pass horizontal line test.
Wow, see, so energetic today.
Okay, it must pass horizontal line test in order to have function to have inverse. Otherwise, the function cannot have inverse. But, however, if the function cannot have inverse, I can restrict them. I can restrict them in such a way, and I can restrict them. So, for example, I can cover up this part. Then the function is only going up. Then I can have inverse. Okay? So those are the things that you need to know is in order for the function to have inverse, it must be strictly increasing. Or it must pass horizontal line test. And the only way I can make this function pass horizontal line test is cover one side. If I cover the decreasing part, just have the increasing part, or the other way around, then I can have an inverse. So those are the foundation, those are little tricky things that your Algebra 1 or Algebra 2 teacher doesn't teach you. But I need to emphasize those. Inverse function. Because most of your Algebra 1 teacher is going to teach you just, oh yeah, swap x and y's and solve for y's, and that's what you've done. Yes, it's true, but there are more to that. Because a lot of time, they test different way. Now, what else is this? This is a condition, must be 1-to-1. Well, what is 1-to-1?
One solution.
One
to
watch
each
for
y.
every day.
Like 1x to each y.
1x.
For each y.
I think
The one y for
No,
each
that's
x.
the.
Has to be one line for each line. One. Are you sure about that? One line.
Don't be saying gay on my chat.
Huh?
He said it, not me.
So what
Has
do
to
you
be
think?
Equal from both sides, maybe one.
So
ratio.
is this one has one, each y has 2x value, right? So it must be each y
There's one.
x value, right? So that's 1-to-1.
So each y has
Each
an
y
x.
has to have two,
1.
One.
but
Because if you do the horizontal line test, it's not an inverse because it has two y's per x. I mean two.
two x's per y.
Each
Two what?
So each y has
So
to have
each
one.
y has 2x value. You don't want that. You want each y has 1x value.
Oh, for it to be inverse.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, got it.
Okay, so that's why 1-to-1, but they all means exactly the same thing. If you realize 1-to-1, monotonic, okay, monotonic increasing or monotonic decreasing, that just means they're strictly going up or strictly going down. There's no go up and down. And the last one is must pass horizontal line test. Now this is what the things that supposed says to you. Okay? Now, what is the inverse function in terms of graph? Now, here is the things that they have some type of reflections. They are type of symmetries. What do you think they're symmetry to?
It's the middle axis of symmetry.
No,
Did the same on both sides.
no. See, this is what the Algebra 1 teacher didn't teach you.
Is
It has to have some type of symmetry, and we're gonna discover symmetry. So we're gonna write down symmetry,
Y'all ready to now?
question mark.
Question.
Like,
Are you symmetry?
Okay, what do they symmetry of? So that's the things that you have to discover. And yes, Noah, do you know what a symmetry of?
Where they intersect at one point, the symmetry off of that one point, like the solution to both of them.
Sometimes, but not all the time.
Isn't it from the vertex?
No, there was no vertex, because you have vertex, you can have inverse.
They're the same on the same side.
No.
They have the same distance from a specific point or line.
They do, but where's that line? Ah.
You can.
In the middle.
So okay, so let's go find out what a symmetry of. Okay, let's go find out. Okay, so what we want to do is we're gonna graph. We're gonna find the inverse. First of all, we had to correct something first. So we do not say this is f. This is f inverse of x.
Oh, we talked about
Read as f inverse of x. Now, if you say f the negative 1 of x, I will kick you. Well, no, I won't kick the student. I will never do that.
F to negative 1 of x. What's 1 over f of x?
The reason why you don't say f of negative 1 of x is because you're gonna thought that's 1 over f of x. And that means just completely different. So never read as f negative 1 of x. Always read f inverse of x. F inverse of x, yes.
Does it have to be negative 1? Can it be other numbers like negative 3?
No, it have to only it shows over there is always negative 1, but you don't read as a negative 1. You read as f inverse of x. You don't read anything else. Okay, you don't read anything else. You just read f inverse of x. And trust me, I will not harm you.
It's probably isn't it?
I will not harm you.
What is
If
it?
you
Bunch of crap you don't want
What's
to
the,
teach
it says right as f what?
Yeah.
read as
Having a
f
whole
inverse
conversation.
of x.
Yeah.
It looks like a toss. Right.
Okay, so how do I find the inverse of x? Basically 4 steps. So if I start with the f of x, it's equal to x, 3x plus 4.
You switch f of x to y.
Right, so we're gonna first step, we're gonna write down switch f of x to y. So we're gonna switch this. So that's the first step. So after first step, I'm gonna go to y equal to 3x plus 4. You switch the f of x to y. And then the second step is you swap x and y.
Switch swap.
Okay, swap the x and y. So it's gonna be x equal to 3y plus 4. And the third step is gonna be solve for y.
So now,
So then that's gonna be x minus 4 equal to 3y, and y
X
is
minus
equal
4.
X minus
to,
4 over 3.
Yeah. That's what
Run,
it's
let him do the problem.
damn.
seriously.
Y'all green, right?
Sorry, but like.
Okay, so now then you're gonna grab this. Now, not done yet. For replace
Remember the SSR rule. SSSR rule.
y
The USSR.
with
UR. LGBT.
How does it go? Oh, never
Oh my
mind.
goodness.
What?
So you have to change that to this. So it's gonna be x over 3 minus 4 over 3. So now I want you to get your computer out. And I want you to grab this equation, and this equation, and find out what are they symmetry of. So first of all, are they strictly increasing or strictly decreasing?
Increasing.
That's a slope, right? That's a 3. Let's go up 1, right, go up 3, right 1. So,
You love me.
Yes. For what?
Computer.
No.
Does someone have a computer charger?
Someone's stuck in here.
Well, I
don't
didn't bring my
even know what I said
charger.
for what.
Rise,
So
bro.
Yeah.
okay, now I want you to graph both lines, and you're gonna find out what are they symmetry of.
I can't stand him.
What?
Rice.
Bell rings in 2
Duck.
minutes.
Oh, that's fine.
Duck.
Duck.
YouTube lesson.
This man.
What? Can I not walk in front? I'm confused.
No,
What's
like-
happening?
Bryce, get it together, honey. We're on day something. The exam's in 5 days. Miss Simon tells me that every day. Ooh.
He's giving everybody the.
So what do they symmetry of?
4.
Where do they both use like that?
So another kid does something. They all have a same distance to something.
-2.
To 0.
Wait, negative.
Oh my god.
Zoom
he's
in more.
so
Zoom
random.
in. Zoom in more. -2.
Wait, is it like this?
Yes, it is.
Wait, am I supposed to
No,
write
Yeah.
f of x?
And you have to graph the original function
It's
too.
-2, -2, isn't it?
I want to see what do they symmetry to each other. How do they
-2,
symmetry?
Oh my god.
It's -2.
You got it.
That's the
What the fuck?
cross.
Yeah, I'm making money by stuff.
Wait.
Go
I'm
with the
gonna
answer.
figure this out.
You know what to do already. Like and subscribe. And yeah.
Symmetry
I
to
got
what?
Is this symmetry to 0?
It's
No.
Negative.
1 over the slope of 1.
Yes. Slope of 1.
What?
It's symmetry to y equal to x. Thank you, Noah.
Wait, how do you have that?
That was the only one.
You graph y equal to x, you're gonna